Hello my friends, and welcome back to Shining Brighter. My name is Nick. As always, comment, like, subscribe if you enjoy the content I'm putting out. And today I want to talk to you guys about investing in ourselves. And this is something that I've been doing for the last 2 years, and I am very grateful that I made the choice to invest in myself, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I know a lot of the times when we look at things, it can be difficult because we can't see what lies ahead as we look down this trail. But you know what? Nothing to be scared about. It's actually pretty exciting because you don't know what you're going to see down there. But if you invest in yourself and you do the things necessary to improve and you're happy, I can promise you that what lies ahead is going to be far better than what you're leaving behind. So as far as investing in myself, I've been doing it, like I said, for the last 2 years, and it started for me with realizing that no matter what I did, no matter how much of a nice guy I was, big mistake on my part, no matter how much I tried to show people that I was a good person and did what I could to try and make them happy, finally realized it didn't matter, because that's what they wanted, and that's how they and I, taking accountability for myself, kept me down. So when I got to my breaking point, and it's going to be different for everybody, I just said, that's it, I'm done. And it was a very small thing in my personal life that changed, and it was a very big thing in my work life that changed it. The funny thing is both situations were the exact same, because I was dealing with the same personality types at both ends. So the first step was making that decision that I was worth more than I was getting, and started to realize my value and my worth. Saw everything that I was doing and what I brought to the table versus what I was getting. And then I started to do the most important thing I could do. And I started to respect myself, guys. And, sometimes we don't even know that we're not respecting ourselves because we think we're doing, the right thing. Unfortunately, people will mistake your kindness for weakness, and they'll take advantage. And in a lot of cases, for people pleasers, it just makes you try harder, and all that does is make those people respect you less. So once I made that decision to leave both places and improve upon myself, the very first thing I did was started walking. And for me, walking is fantastic. I love being outdoors. I love finding beautiful places like this, get to explore, see what I don't know, see what's around, find new places to go. And I enjoy it quite a bit, Sorry if the wind makes the audio a little tough here. I'm trying to get out of it. But beyond that, I walked every day, and I built up to the point where I do 2 to 3 hour walks, and it helps clear my mind. It helps me feel better, get plenty of sunshine, fresh air, exercise. And as a matter of fact, by the end of the first year, where I walked consistently every single day, 2 to 3 hours a day, and obviously a diet change, because I wasn't eating the best either, partly because of my job, partly because I was just honestly lazy about cooking. Eventually, I dropped 30 pounds. I felt so much better about myself, and that was the second investment. Doing the exercise, getting my butt off the couch, motivating myself to get out and walk, and made physical improvements on myself. And when that happened, eventually I went out and did something that I hadn't done in a long time. I bought a bunch of new clothes, stuff that, I felt that I finally looked good enough to wear, and stuff that, I normally wouldn't dress in. Nothing crazy or flashy, but, more dress pants, button-down shirts, new watch, bracelet, necklace. And I had never been into those things very much. Not that there was anything wrong with them. It just, wasn't me for the longest time. And I remember the day that I was sitting down and I was wearing one of the new outfits, and I was feeling very confident about myself. Felt like I was really, looking the best I had in a long time. And, my ex came out, and it was during the divorce, so it was a tough time. And as she's, trying to argue with me, she's kind of looking me up and down, and finally says, "What is this?" And I said, "What is what?" And she said, "This. You always wore t-shirts and jeans or sweatshirts, you never wore dress pants and button-down shirts, and you told me you'd never wear jewelry. You hated it." And I said, "Well, does it bother you?" And she said, "No, I don't care what you do." And I said, "Well, it seems like it's bothering you." And she said, "No, it doesn't at all. I just don't understand. Why now?" And I said, "Because I finally feel good enough about myself. That's why now." So the next thing I did, and this is all kind of at the same time, was I realized that with all the stress I had going on between home and work, not feeling good about my health and all that kind of stuff, I went and got an appointment with a therapist. And I've said it before, when I told people that, they were in shock and couldn't believe that I would do it. But, I understood that if I truly wanted to heal and get better, I finally realized I couldn't do it on my own. And that's not a weakness, that's a strength. How can anybody feel like they can take on the world by themselves? Certainly, I could have kept going that way, and I've always handled everything. But why struggle if you don't have to? It doesn't make sense. So that was another investment I made, addressing my mental and emotional health. And it's been one of the greatest gifts I've ever given myself. Finally learning that I can rely on someone else to help. Having somebody to listen to you is such an amazing thing. Realizing you're not alone, realizing you don't have to do everything on your own. And it helps so much because you're getting an unbiased outside point of view on you and what you're dealing with. And when you have that, you get new ideas on how you can change, how you can improve, or just how you can see things through a different lens. Additionally, a friend of mine suggested the life coach that I go see every now and again. Again, another game changer. Has helped quite a bit. The two in tandem have been a godsend for me. And I do believe that they were both sent by heaven because I was struggling. But I was investing in myself, guys. And thankfully, I had the strength to admit that I could use the help and accept it. Aside from those investments, I finally joined a gym. I had, my knees aren't the greatest. A lot of stupid things I did when I was a kid. And I had been doing physical therapy, then found out I had to go and have knee surgery. And when I was done, I said, you know what? Time to change things up. I need to strengthen up all the muscles around the knees because that's about the only way I have left of, keeping from having to go through that kind of thing again. So I joined a gym. And not that I had never done it. I had done it in the past, but, kids and marriage and everything else that comes along with it, I hadn't been to the gym in years. And, just another way to invest in myself, investing in my physical body. That has been great too. Met a lot of nice people there, supportive, great physical trainer, and I'm on the road to getting into some of the best shape I've been in a long time. All these investments came when they were needed most. I should have done them a long time ago, but I had to get to that point where I could admit to myself that I couldn't put it off anymore, and there was no reason to. It's not always easy to do, but I'm glad I did every single one of them. The next investment came when I made that decision that it was time to leave my employment and I needed to find, another line of work. And the entire summer that I was out with my knee surgery, I was trying to figure out, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? What can I do? And I thought about transferring different police departments, but when you do that, where I am, you lose your seniority, you lose all your vacation time, you lose any promotion that you have, and you basically go back to scratch as a patrolman on the midnight shift with 1 week vacation. That wasn't very appealing to me. Beside the fact that I've been through enough narcissistic bosses that, I just don't want to do it anymore. And the investment here was taking the time every day while I was sitting there. I couldn't really do much because of my knee. And trying to figure out what to do. And then it finally dawned on me, like I've said previously, I figured out what I'm supposed to do. And again, what I'm supposed to do is help people. And I enjoy doing it. There's no better way to help than to help others. So being here on YouTube, even though it is way, way, way out of my comfort zone, and I apologize for the wind, I know I'm supposed to be doing this. I know I'm supposed to be here. I know I'm supposed to be helping. And you know what? I'm really having a great time doing it. I'm excited every time I make a new video. I'm excited at the thought of, somebody watching it and getting something from it. Maybe something that helps them see a different point of view or make a change or, get the motivation they need to get up and get moving, or even just realize that there are people in the world who care about them. So these are the ways that I've invested in myself. There are other ways too, getting out, doing things on my own that I wouldn't have done in the past. Going away for several days by myself, exploring new things, trying new things, meeting new people. My walks are my me time. They help me regenerate and they help me clear my mind. Love music, all kinds. And during this whole time period, I've stumbled across music that I hadn't heard before, and more songs from bands that I'd never heard. So that's another thing that I do to invest in me. Now, when I tell you to invest in yourself, I'm not telling you to ignore everything else, because we all have responsibilities. We all have family, friends. A lot of us have kids. you know, your job, whatever. But don't put yourself last, because you can't help anybody if you put yourself last, because you're not right. So take the time, you know, look around and, you know, do some positive affirmations. Instead of saying, I wish, or why can't I, or, you know, it won't happen, say, I'm doing this. I can do it. It is going to happen for me. You know, and believe it or not, changing your mindset is another investment in yourself that will be huge. So guys, like I always say, know your value, know your worth, respect yourselves. I see you all for who you really are, and I love you all for it. I'm excited to do another video for you guys soon, and I'm even more excited to see this community grow. So until next time, guys, take care.